Welcome back to Mayhem with Maverick, brought to you by Mayhem Studios, LLC. It's been a couple weeks, so I'm back on it, and I'm ready to go, so hope you are too. So we're going to go off script, nothing here to read off of. I'm just going to go off my mind like I did the last time. We're going to talk about some of the things that's been going on. So President's Day was just a couple days ago. Lots of protests around the country. They blew the dust off their signs from 2016 and came bonking it out. Bah, 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 bah. Not my president. Not my president. Okay, give it up. That is the dumbest slogan. And he is your president because he got the popular vote. He got the electoral vote. The Republicans won the Senate and the Republicans won the Congress. So the majority of this country wants Trump in office, wants Republicans to run the government, and they want what he wants. And some of those things are very important, like controlling fraud, waste, and abuse. Hence why he made DOGE. Now everyone's all upset about Elon Musk. I didn't elect Elon Musk. Co-President Musk. Vice President Musk. Okay, shut up. The president has the right to appoint people to positions in his administration. So, he promised during the election process that he was going to change things. He was going to go after the fraud. He was going to go after the waste. And he told the American people, I'm creating DOGE and I'm putting Elon Musk in charge. We all knew it. He didn't here's this and surprise. We all knew Elon was coming in and Elon was going to change things. Now, you got DOD who hasn't passed an audit in years. This is a common occurrence in the civilian world. Companies all the time do audits. If you were a stockholder in Ford and Ford hadn't done an audit and they're funneling money and they're not telling you what they're doing, you'd be angry as a stockholder. Especially if your stock started to drop because they were doing shady stuff with the money. It's the same thing that DOGE is doing. They're going in and they're auditing all of the government because it hasn't been done properly in a long time. Perfect example is they found people between the ages of 150 and 365. Let me say that again for the people in the back. People of the age of 150 to 365 years old. Better call Guinness Book of World Records. These people were receiving Social Security payments. Now stop before you start screaming, well, there's always fraud. Yes, I have friends that are fraud detectives and they're like, Mike, there's always fraud in Social Security. That shouldn't be the exception. You shouldn't accept that. We should fight that. If there's fraud in Social Security, we should be fighting that. That's our money. It's our money that we put in there that we expect when we turn 65. And if there's fraud, we should be fighting it. It's your right to fucking question it. So the left being upset that Elon's finding, and this is the best part, that really is just so dumbfounding. They're angry. The Democratic leaders are angry. Not about the fraud and all the money that's being wasted. They're angry Elon found out and that he had access to find out. Folks, are you kidding me? You're angry because he had access and found fraud. You're not upset about the fraud and all the money that's, don't look behind the curtain, right? You're upset because he found out. That's because you are guilty of something and you're afraid you're going to be found out. Now, I was in the military and I was a police officer. There's waste and abuse of money everywhere. And I remember being, 27 years in the Navy, constantly being told about, if you see fraud, waste, and abuse, report it. Listen, when you're paying, you're paying $10,000 for a toilet to be put in the captain's freaking cabin. There's fraud, waste, and abuse. I remember one time on my ship, the Incheon, we were getting rid of all our tools. We were updating our tools, right? And we start ordering it. Me and the supply officer were ordering the tools. And by the time we were done, we had spent close to $100,000. And I'm looking at these tools and I look at my chief going, I could buy all these tools at fucking Sears and probably spend less than $500 and have a lifetime warranty, because these don't come with warranties. He goes, well, that's how it works. Why should it work that way? That's because somebody's brother's sister's nephew is getting a kickback. We all know it. If you've been in the military long enough, you know that's how it works. But this is the kind of stuff that DOGE is going to go after. So DOGE needs that access to all that stuff. People screaming, Elon's going to have access to social security numbers. The dude ran PayPal. He probably already has your social security number. And you're willing to give your social security number up to the DMV. You're willing to give it up to almost any credit card company, any bank, who most of those companies cooperate with the government and report things using your social security number. Let me tell you, if you try and deposit a certain amount of money, they call the federal government and they say, this person, this social is depositing this amount of money. They're required by law to do it. So this is nothing new. The problem is that we haven't been passing audits because people don't do it seriously. So now you're going to get into the whole, he's got 19-year-olds doing it. Yeah, these average 19-year-olds, they're freaking computer whizzes. They're going to go down the rabbit hole and find shit. And if you're angry about a 19-year-old helping Elon Musk and DOGE, but yet you'll listen to this girl tell you about climate change, who's probably on the spectrum, what is wrong with this country? And I'll tell you what's wrong with this country. We've been so used to being screwed by our government that lots of people are just okay with it. But guess what? This election, people finally put their foot down and said, no, we're done. We want our country back. And folks, it is our right. And it is our citizens of this United States have a right and a duty to question the government when they're doing shady shit. And when it comes to the money that we give our government, it is our duty to question how that money is spent. Everybody's upset about U.S. aid. I was taught by my grandparents of the greatest generation that charity begins at home. Okay? And I know lots of you have heard that term, charity begins at home. Why are we sending billions and billions of dollars outside our country to other countries to give them street lights, sex changes for transgenders? Don't even get me started on how much money we've given Ukraine. But yet we have people in Asheville suffering. We have homeless veterans. Why are we not spending that money on American citizens? Why are we spending so much money to put up illegal immigrants in New York City in 5-star hotels? They're criminals. They broke the law coming to this country. But we're giving them money. We're putting them up in hotels. I'm going to New York City on a trip soon. I couldn't afford to stay at the Roosevelt. But you got illegal immigrants staying there, all with iPhones. Well, if they're so poor, how are they getting iPhones? They're coming across the border with iPhones. Folks, money runs the country, right? Everybody has money. The problem is that the government's never been held accountable like it is now. Trump and his administration are going to hold this country accountable and hold the electoral process accountable. They're going to hold everything accountable. And if you don't like that, then maybe you're not a true American, okay? Because our founding fathers wanted small government. They didn't want a big, large government telling us what to do. That was the states, the state rights. The states have the right to run the state. Hence why there wasn't a Department of Education up until Jimmy Carter. So we don't need a department. So for over 200 years, we didn't have a Department of Education and everything was doing good. In fact, we were doing really well compared to other countries. Now that we have a Department of Education, we're like super low in education compared to the rest of the countries, especially China, one of our biggest adversaries. So maybe we should get rid of the Department of Education. I don't know. I really don't care. My kid's about to turn 18 and graduate. I don't really care about the Department of Education anymore. I don't think that it's helpful. And you got the unions, that freaking nut job president of the union, controlling more than she should be allowed to control. And honestly, looking at how my kid is and the education that he went through in Florida, I'm not impressed with education as a whole in this country. And maybe we need to shake up the freaking education. But getting back to the main thing about DOGE looking at stuff. You can cry all you want. It's going to happen. You can throw up the lawsuits all you want. It's still going to happen. The Supreme Court, if they see any, they're gonna side with DOGE. They're part of the executive branch that is trying to make sure everything is being run properly. There's nothing wrong with that. And we should want that. Just like you'd want wherever you work. Like when I worked at Clearwater Police Department, I wanted the police department to run properly. It didn't. Still ain't. Wanted the city to run properly. It didn't. It still ain't. Granted, nothing changes until you get somebody that goes in and starts kicking the dirt. And that's what Trump and his administration is going to do. And if you don't feel that way, I'm sorry that you don't feel that way. I feel that he's going to do a good job. He did a great job his first term. And by the way, nobody lost their rights. He didn't kill anybody. He didn't assassinate anybody. He didn't start any wars. All the fear-mongering that the left did never happened. So maybe you shouldn't believe all the fear-mongering they're doing right now because it's not going to happen. I mean, Jesus, they said for a year that he was against IVF. That's a flat-out lie. He just signed an executive order because he believes IVF should be available to everyone. And so he just signed an executive order making IVF more affordable, trying to get healthcare to pay for it. Because healthcare, your insurance companies, folks, if you don't know about IVF, if you've never been through it, I had a friend at the police department, or a couple at the police department that went through IVF. My wife and I were going to go through IVF. It is expensive. It is not cheap, and it is not covered by health insurance. So all the money you pay for IVF comes out of your pocket. Now, if you want a child and you can't have it, and that's the only way, yes, you're going to do it because you want to be a parent. But why shouldn't health insurance pay for it? They want to pay for transgender stuff, but they won't pay for us to bring children into the world. So he passed or signed an executive order, I think it was yesterday, that's going to force insurance companies to work with IVF and make it more affordable. What the hell's wrong with that? So the Democratic Party been screaming and saying that he's going to get rid of IVF. He's against IVF. Flat out lie. He's not. He just proved it. Signed an executive order trying to help families have kids. You gotta do more research and pay more attention than just listening to the fear-mongering, because that's all they're doing, because they're running scared. They don't even have a person that's truly in charge of the Democratic Party right now. They lied to us for at least 2 years about Joe Biden's health. And if you couldn't watch and see that he was gone, he reminded me of my grandmother when she started getting her Alzheimer's. He just was not there. And when he was bouncy, I guarantee they shot him up with something. Start listening and start doing your own research. For a perfect example, a couple videos ago, I was talking about the pardons, right? Joe Biden did all these pardons. And he pardoned people that never even went to court. He predetermined, give them a pardon. Pardoned Hunter. But guess what? 1925, Burdick versus United States. The U.S. Supreme Court said accepting a pardon implies acceptance of guilt. So just remember that. All those people that Fauci, he gave Fauci a pardon. Though Fauci was never brought up on charges on it, he gave Fauci a pardon. You know why? Because Fauci's guilty of screwing all of us. And I guarantee when they dig down into that wormhole one day, they're going to find out he's the reason why COVID was over in China, and he's the reason why it got loose. Yeah, I'll probably get in trouble for saying that. But, there's just so much bullshit revolving around COVID that I don't believe a damn thing anybody's saying. They ruined tons of doctors' careers who tried to go against Fauci and go against Department of Health. And it turned out those doctors were right. So now I'm going to show you a picture because I'm off the politics now. I'm going to show you a picture. So in the area, because this is funny, it's funny, but it's not in the same aspect. This just shows you how stupid human beings are. Around here, they've been redoing parking lots and Publix and the mall and all that. And they've made these new handicap parking lot or disabled parking spaces. They're extra wide, and I'll show you the picture. What it's meant for is for a car to park parallel with the throughway of the parking lot. Vice perpendicular. Okay? But here you go. Right at Publix, 2 idiots parked in it. Now, I've seen this multiple times at this specific Publix, and I've seen it at the mall a couple times. This just shows you how stupid you are and how stupid people can be. That you don't know any better on how to park your car properly. Now, maybe it's because I was a police officer and I'm a little bit antsy about, following rules. But it's not just that. I mean, that parking space is designed for people with the vans and trucks because, let's be honest, you look at some of these handicap accessible vans, they won't fit in a normal parking space. And if you got a guy like me who owns a Dodge Ram 1500 4-door, you park it in a normal parking space, it's tight and it's long. So parking that way would help. So just my, hey, look at the idiots in this country. Folks, that's really all I got right now. I mean, I'm sure I could go off on a whole bunch of other things, but, I just wanted to get off my chest the whole DOGE thing, because that thing's been all over the news and they're just pushing it too far. So just remember, they work for us. It is our right and our responsibility to question how our government is run and how our money is spent. Okay? It may not seem important to you if you're 18 or 19 years old, but when you start getting older and when you start getting closer to that Social Security thing and they go, we don't have the money anymore because we found out there was a bunch of fraud, you're going to be angry. So you should be happy of what's doing it. And if it's because Elon Musk is the richest man in the world and he shouldn't touch us, he's the richest man in the world for a reason. So maybe he knows what he's doing when it comes to finding fraud and waste and abuse. I mean, he's had a lot of companies. With that being said, hey, I hope you liked the video. I know it's a short video compared to what I normally do. But please, like, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family. Let's make it bigger. Let's keep rolling. Email me if you want something to be talked about. But for that, I'm out. Peace.